In a safe house high in the hills of Idlib province, two young men are getting a Kalashnikov masterclass from an old hand. The young men are Syrians, but they've been living and working overseas. Mortasim had problems with the notorious Syrian secret police, the Mukhabarat, and fled to Cyprus 7 years ago. Life was good there, he told us, but the call of the uprising was too strong. Cyprus is where he met Mohammed, who was studying to be a nurse. He told us they didn't like each other to start with, but the uprising made them brothers. They'd come home together to join the fight against the Assad regime.
I could not bear to see the pain of the families, the torture of the elderly and the kids, while we were sitting in Cyprus doing nothing. I've never been in the army and I have hardly any knowledge of weapons, but I do have extensive training as a medical assistant, so I hope I can help the people that way.
The man giving the rifle lesson is not Free Syrian Army. He's a hunter in his spare time. He let us film his face, but the government crackdown in Idlib province is now so serious, we're concealing his identity.
The Assad regime is a cowardly regime. It's a failed regime, but it's also bloodthirsty and it's ruthless. We never wanted this bloodshed, but if we're forced to deal with it, we are ready.
Men like the hunter play a part in getting would-be fighters from one place to another. Our location among the legendary 60 million olive trees of Idlib is a closely guarded secret. The region, the hunter tells us, has a glorious history. It's the birthplace of Ibrahim Hanano, who nearly 100 years ago led the revolution against the French occupation of Syria. He sees the fight against the Assad regime as a continuation of that struggle.
We are the sons and the men of Hanano. We are not afraid and we will not surrender.
Mohammed and Mortasim don't really know how the Free Syrian Army works yet. They want to get to a training camp as soon as possible. They tell us they're heading to Jebel Zawiya on the other side of Idlib province, where the Free Syrian Army is famously outspoken and strong. We take tense van rides cross-country past Syrian army bases with their tanks parked outside. Movement around this area is slow, deliberate, and very carefully planned. People who want to join the Free Syrian Army wait in safe houses, sometimes for days, before venturing out into roads that have been cleared ahead of their journey by someone who's driven the same route before them. We drive through communities in revolt against the government. The roads are disturbingly empty. We look for Free Syrian Army checkpoints and we avoid government ones. But instead of Jebel Zawiya, cut off by regime forces, we're taken to Idlib, a city on the brink of a massive regime crackdown. The would-be revolutionaries are pitched headfirst into a situation they're not prepared for. The government assault starts 3 days later. By then, Mohammed the nurse has fled Idlib and Mortasim is getting out of Syria entirely. He'll find another way in, he tells us, perhaps later. Syria's brutal reality is shocking and exhausting, however sincere the commitment. Anita McNaught, Al Jazeera, Idlib province.